What's up, everybody? This is Jimmy with Trade Decoded. It is February 13th, 2025. And I'm done for the day. Been done for about an hour. Today ended up being a much better day than I thought it was going to be as far as the chart goes. We had some big reports that started off looking like they were bad, but then some revisions came out and then they were good all of a sudden. The market got happy and we found some good trade opportunities because the chart was moving. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and launch. Oh, buy my book, by the way. I'm going to launch the recording explaining what we wanted to see for the call put scenario because I think it's important today. You could see that when you plan trades and you apply rules that you have for yourself and you trust your plan, well, it's either going to work or it's not. But either way, you should feel comfortable executing said plan. If you don't do it. You don't take the trade. But go ahead and listen to this, and we'll pick it up and go over the additional trades that we recognized. So enjoy. But what is good is that it's 9:25. And I am not at all excited even a little bit about what I'm seeing. So much so that I'm not really sure what the hell I want to do here. I think I'm pretty confident with wanting to be below our pre-market low line, I think, for puts. That's going to make me hopefully be a little bit more, conservative, I guess you would say. To the upside, I don't really know where to put a call line because I'd rather pull back and take a call off of support, and hope to make it back to this current resistance that we're at now. So, I don't know how to mark that. I guess you'll have to keep it in context. I'm not saying we should be in calls if we go over this line because we're already over it, but as long as everything looks like it's trying to push up and we've managed to come down here and get this support, I'd be willing to play calls up to where we just rejected up there, which was the pre-market high at 843. For the call for Qs, I'm going to have to put it up here and down here. So I want to be below on the Qs, 529.67 and above 530.60. Ideal situations. If we get below the put line on the Qs, I'd hope that the Qs make it down to their pink line. If we get above the line on the Qs, I'd be hopefully aiming for at least the first line, which is almost 30 cents up, with the hopes that we'd actually carry through that and get into a space that has much more potential room. $10 seconds to open. I'm gonna have calls ready just because I don't have a put bias of any kind. We're trying to hold support there. Qs are kind of on a support. I got to find out where ADD is opening. Where are you, ADD? ADD is very green. Yeah, so let's go. All right, so as discussed in the leading up to the open, I wanted to see a pullback to support. We got that pullback to support at the time. ADD was printing a green candle and Qs were on support. I didn't have any kind of a put bias whatsoever. I recognized that the Qs were very green and therefore I felt pretty comfortable taking calls. Now, admittedly, the Qs chart moved a lot more than SPY did, and that's simply because ADD is going in the complete opposite direction shortly after we got into this trade. However, Qs were stronger and were able to pull SPY up. But as the Qs started to struggle moving higher, I started to concern myself with the fact that if the Qs slow down and or start to print red while ADD is printing gigantic red candles, we were going to have a very difficult time staying up there and more likely to come down at a pretty aggressive pace, which is exactly what ended up happening and exactly what got many of us into our second trade of the day. So trail it. We're hitting a resistance again on the Qs, and SPY isn't much higher than it was a second ago, and ADD is starting to drill down. You should probably take profits up here. Even if the Qs keep going up, it's only a matter of time before ADD starts to have enough negative effect on SPY that even the Qs will not be able to carry it up any higher. All right, now that you've watched that live dissertation about what we needed to see for calls, let me give you some infill if you didn't make it through or you didn't understand. What we wanted to see, what we recognized in pre-market was that Qs and ADD were stuck between the upper and mid support resistance lines that we had drawn in pre-market. So as you heard in the opening statements, when we were up here, it was hard to justify a call line. So I said that I'd like to see a pullback to a known support that was holding. And as long as ADD opens green and positive and Qs hold support, I mean, that to me would hope that we were going to move up to the resistance of day, which it ended up being a lot more than that on the Qs, but that was the original trade setup we wanted to see. Now, I know shortly after that, and if you listened to the whole recording, you saw that we were recognizing, or I was recognizing very quickly, that ADD was going against us, and that's what got us to feel more like we should start to protect the profits we had at this time. And, well, we did, and fortunately we did, because then we started to break down. Now, with ADD torpedoing down and Qs starting to bend over, that didn't sound good. Qs starting to roll over, also not so great. But anyway, we had said if the Qs get back below or breach their call line, which is a level of resistance, I'm expecting this thing to head down to the pink line. Now, you had to be quick here because once Qs got through that line, it went straight to the pink line. Now, for some people in our community, they were already in puts, which is awesome. But the key here is, guys, we saw that the reasoning for considering calls was falling out of our favor as we were in the trade, meaning we were moving up on the Qs, and then the Qs struggled to move up, but ADD was already tanking down. Protect your profits. If the Qs keep going up, it might hold SPY up. If the Qs start printing red, SPY is going to move down a lot more aggressively and a lot quicker. You heard me say all of that in that video. This is what triggered this move, albeit temporary, but big and quick. Beautiful short move to the upside on SPY. It was much better on the Qs, and a very quick move to the downside shortly thereafter. Now, after that happened, we were in a wedge on the Qs, and people were saying, but Jimmy, should I buy a trade now? And I said, well, you do what you want to do because it's your money, but I don't advise buying into a position ever when we're in a wedge, okay? What do you want to wait for when considering a trade? For me, I said, well, first thing I want to know is ADD on my side, because I do have people who like to get into trades when the wedge breaks. That's not my MO unless on this candle, ADD is on a rocket ship heading north or printing a nice green candle. I don't feel comfortable being aggressive just because we close on the other side of the trend line. But what that does do, if I'm in puts, that gets me out of those puts. If I'm looking to get into calls, that takes puts off the table, just like a normal downtrend play, breaking the trend line. But more importantly, we want to wait for a breach above the most recent resistance to its left before we take those calls. And if that's happening and ADD is not torpedoing down, then you take your entry. So yes, you could have gotten into calls here at 952, although I wouldn't have. Instead, I would wait for a breach, especially knowing that the next resistance up was way up here. Okay, so here was our entry for calls, and we were looking for the Qs to make it to the next resistance. Now, as luck would have it, we shot through it quickly and hit our next resistance up, where it failed to continue to move higher. So on SPY, we closed above the pink line at the same time as Qs was breaching this resistance. We were looking for the next resistance up on the Qs. Again, we take our Qs from the Qs, and that ended up being a wonderful trade. Quick, concise, and excellent. Then we pulled back. Okay, we pulled back. We started to move up. We put in a higher low, also indicating that we're more likely to break resistance this time. And we did. Do you get in when we're at this resistance? No, I would not recommend it. Now, unless you're looking at ADD, which at the time was moving up nicely, some folks did get in a little bit aggressively, but I was recommending or suggesting that we at least get above that line of resistance, hoping we're going to get to the next line of resistance. We get up, we start moving up, it stalls down. We say, hey, the stop loss on this, in my opinion, would be if we close back below 532.48. That's the most recent support that we created after we got above this support here, or resistance, turned it support, and we want to hold above that. If we do, we're still aiming for the next line up. That all worked out, okay? Then, and I'm sorry, I didn't put my exit here, but it also correlated with a SPY resistance. Okay, I just forgot to put a circle there. We moved up a little higher. Now, we're hoping that the Qs are going to make a $2 run up to the next line, which they didn't do, and that's okay. ADD had started to trail off and started trending down, and what we were hoping for the Qs was that we were going to stay above this most recent support right here. And once we closed below that, that became the stopping point. So originally, folks stayed in this trade hoping to make it all the way up to the next resistance. We didn't get it, so we closed out or stopped out because we finally closed above the most recent support that Qs had made. Then we started to downtrend on the Qs, saying, hey, if we can get below this support, the next one down, we recognized as being right here at 532.88. Okay. And if we got through that, we'd be looking for the same support that was trying to keep us into calls earlier. If you just remember what I said at 532.49. Okay. So got below support, turned it into resistance. Some folks took profits here. We pulled back, stayed below that resistance, which would have been wildly uncomfortable. Finally, it started to leg down, got to our second support level. And that's kind of the last thing that we found. I get off the mic at 12 o'clock, and that's all there was to see. But it ended up being a much nicer moving day than I had expected, and I hope that some of you guys got to take advantage of some of those moves. Now, if you got any useful information in this video, please like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to join our Discord community, well, I'd love to have you. There are links down below to get in. Your first week is completely free, and all of that fun stuff. If you'd like to learn how I do this and you can't be in Discord, and I've come to find that there are several people today alone that told me that the pieces of this puzzle are actually more clear now that they've read the book, even though they're already members in my Discord community and have been for a long time. So for those of you who are currently members, I'm being told that it's actually impacting them positively by having the book as well. So if you're interested in that at all, you can find it on Amazon. It's called The Art of Naked Trading, and it looks just like this. And with that said, I hope you all protected your capital. I hope you made some money today. If you didn't, it's okay. You didn't see anything you liked. There's nothing wrong with that. Not every day is a trade day. And I hope tomorrow ends up being a great day. It is going to be Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day to all the ladies out there. Until tomorrow, I love you guys. See ya.